Facebook Live. Come on, Brother Shaq, let's get started. True Love Movement Tuesday is finally live again. We are here live in the studio on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. We are excited. I've had an exciting day.
Oh, yeah.
I can't quite tell you the big exciting news, but please know I'm so very excited.
All of them excited.
I'm a little excited lady with the little busy feet. The little busy feet, the little bitty hands.
Right on.
I got a big old spirit.
Woo! Ancient spirit.
Yes, baby.
Ancient one. So.
Oh, Tony. Wow. That's going to be a nice concert. It's at Sweet Lorraine, y'all. On Thursday. Good afternoon, Facebook Live.
That's right. Good afternoon. We got Carol Crowley joining us, I see. You see that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Good afternoon, Carol.
All right. Good evening, family, and welcome to True Love Movement Tuesdays with your host, Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fire.
It's good to be back, family.
Yes, it feels good.
Good to be back live. Been doing a little bit of travel and what have you, but we are glad to be back here live in the studio with you here this afternoon.
WBOK, 12:30 a.m.
That's right, man. We're back at home, Mama Fire.
Real talk for real time.
Feels so good. And we are grateful to you all joining us. There's so many ways to connect. Of course, there is the 1230 on your AM dial, the World Wide Web at www.WBOK1230am.com, as well as the WBOK 1230am app, which is available on Google Play and in the App Store on Apple. So what's happening, Mama Fire?
A good day, Brother Shaq. Very good day. Very constructive and supportive day, doing what True Love Movement does every day.
That's right.
Yeah. So, how about you?
Oh, I had a great day, Mama Fire. A lot of good work. A lot of brothers are really developing and doing some really hard, very challenging yet rewarding work. One brother just told me one day he was tired, man. He said, I'm tired. And not the kind of tired where you're giving up tired, but just acknowledging that there's a lot of effort that's required to do this, and so it requires a lot of energy, a lot of stamina, a lot of emotional stamina and dexterity that,
It's in
it
consistency.
Shows. Yes, and consistency. Definitely.
That really helps in this type of supportive work. Shout out to you, Brother Shaq, for True Love Movement's own coaching support.
Right on.
And our coaching support is so special and so different from anything else happening
And peer
right
support
now.
too, huh?
Yeah, peer support,
Definitely.
coaching, all of those things are amazing parts of True Love Movement. So I want to thank you for the work that you do.
Right on.
I want to thank, all of the Truth Ambassadors that we have out there.
Shout out to the Truth
The
Ambassadors.
Truth Ambassadors are the people who have been through the True Love Movement program, True Love Movement, supportive services, True Love Movement, education,
Right.
Political education, psychoeducation, all these things. And they have gone through it and they have made, taken it to the level of self-love.
That's
They're
right.
on the self-love journey. They're definitely on there. And they're doing the work every day. And so they naturally want to spread some of the formulas of True Love Movement, some of the things that True Love Movement does to help people self-reflect and document their process and get to know deeper the sense of self and wellness.
That's right.
And so, Truth Ambassador, shout out if you're a Truth Ambassador. We love you for being a part of True Love Movement.
Definitely.
And I want to shout out Shira Starr, my sister Shira Starr, not yet a Truth Ambassador, but definitely working on it. She is, she's organizing something called the Healing Colorism Weekend. It's like a weekend of events surrounding and giving education on colorism.
Okay.
And the healing of it. And she reached out to True Love Movement for some support, and she's been organizing it with help from True Love Movement.
Right on.
And so it's going to be coming up soon on July 17th. There's something we're doing specifically for the children, centering around colorism.
Okay.
It's happening at Crescent City Boxing Gym with our dear brother Al.
Yes,
in his
us
space,
helping us.
Us helping us.
Yeah.
And so we're doing something specifically for the children. And of course, we'll have a lot more details about it. She's going to come on the show, as well as some of the facilitators of the Healing Colorism Weekend. We're going to do a show on the Tuesday, July 16th, here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. live. And I just wanted to kind of let everybody know to be on the lookout for some flyers around healing colorism. And we're going to talk to the children, and we're going to talk to the community at large, and then we're going to have our chance to speak as well. So
right on. I think that's going to be timely as well as timeless in terms of topics, Mama Fi.
Always.
With the ways that colorism has, and continues to impact, black folk here in New Orleans and really the world over. Not even just black folk, but all people who are politically designated in other ways than white.
Definitely.
Colorism is a real part of that experience.
Yeah.
From an internal perspective. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to healing some of the wounds.
Yeah.
Healing.
Multi-generational
wounds that colorism, along with all the other many manifestations of racism have, and internalized racial oppression have afflicted upon our people.
Yes.
And I also want to shout out our Facebook Live folk, Mama Fi. I'm working my way to get back to them now, man. And shout out to everybody who is joining us on the feed live here in the studio. Simply like the True Love Movement page on Facebook, and then you can see us here live in the studio. And we're going to do our best to respond to you here live on the air in real time. We appreciate your patience, because we do know in this time that we're in right now, some of the communication isn't as clear and as swift as we'd like it to be, but we're going to work with it and roll with it anyway, Mama Fi.
Yes, and shout out to Self-Care Summer, Brother Shaq.
Self-Care Summer 2019.
Let's
That's
go.
Right.
And we've taken a big break in June that we needed, after We Manifest, but also just after the work that we do day in and day out, the labor of love to support our people. And support ourselves, Brother Shaq.
That's
we are
right.
a part of our people.
Okay? Yes. Sure enough.
And so we have kind of just been doing it on our own and celebrating when other people are doing it. I've had to add hashtags to some things that I see on social media. Say, don't forget about adding the hashtag.
That's right.
It's spreading slowly but surely. I think people mainly, if not adding hashtags, they're being inspired regardless of having somebody said summer of self-care.
Right.
So everybody's a little bit more inspired, because True Love Movement is leading this charge, because we know that it works.
That's right.
We know that it works in a toxic and harsh environment such as the United Snakes of America.
That's right.
We know that it is important for us to balance the toxicity, the harshness, all of the things that happen outside of us, and make sure that we are feeling cared for,
That's
we are
right.
feeling loved, we are feeling strong, we are feeling powerful, because we cannot control what happens outside of us.
That's
we
right.
can't control what happens to us. When we are well, we realize that we can control our thoughts.
That's right.
We can control what we prioritize. We can control our time, and we could not give until we're empty, but give and also receive.
That's right.
That's a hallmark of wellness, Brother Shaq. If you're able to receive.
That's right.
Able, not just not take it all, but
right.
to receive. Some people say, man, when people offer to help me, or I don't want to ask for help, and we don't realize that is receiving. It's okay to receive as well as give. We never give from an empty vessel, because you will deplete yourself in some way. Trust me.
And I'm glad you even highlighted that, because it's a lot of the cliches and a lot of the different religious ideologies and other philosophies really focus on the giving aspect and what you're doing and the service to others and all those things, but they don't really identify or lift up the self, the origin, where all the giving emanates. And I think that as that is definitely some short-sightedness, it also provides cover for people to set themselves up to be victimized, Mama Fire.
Well, the martyrs, the victims,
That's
the
what
martyrs.
I'm saying, the martyrs.
Yeah, all those things. And so I'm talking about it right now on my blog. I'm doing a series, a 7-part series for Self-Care Summer, Black women and girls, and as it relates to mirror work. And so I'm going to talk about why we're so disconnected from self. And part of that is because we've been told that that is wrong.
Right.
That identifying, digging real deep to find the true self is a wrong thing because it's conceited under the shroud of conceitedness, insanity, really,
right.
but conceitedness and vanity. So be looking out for that new blog coming up. I'm trying to do one every week. We know things get a little hectic, so
Right.
Coming soon.
Well, I think it's important, as you said that, Mama Fire, to assert now on the air in a very public way that True Love Movement is really working to really decolonize ourselves and the way that we work and the way that we be and the way that we operate.
Decolonize and rehumanize.
And that's an important distinction. So from a colonized perspective, there may seem inconsistencies, but from a very human perspective, there's all sorts of realities that also come into play, and we honor ourselves.
Yes, we do.
We honor ourselves in the time that we need to do what we need to do, because we are in time. We are rhythmic people.
Yes.
And it is important that, again, we honor that, and typically spaces in America, in the ways that we've all been conditioned and programmed and socialized, are still very much so colonized, even when there are no colonizers around.
Come on, brother.
You know what I'm saying? And the colonized mind that we have. I always say that you've not really been battle tested until you've gone to war with the white supremacy ideology
in your mind. In your mind. Come on, brother.
That's when you've really been battle tested.
You got to wrestle with things. And in order to do that, you have to really, really look at self.
Yes.
And that's the self-work we're talking about. This is not a worship of self. This is a deep dive into who you really are. And everything you've been through and how that has molded you and your pathology, brother.
That's right.
Is looking deeply. And I know we talk about this all the time, but this is, repetition.
Right.
We got to keep saying the same thing over and over until, the cognitive dissonance melts away, or until, somebody really hears us and understands us. This is a very sacred work.
Right.
A very, very sacred work. And you can tell when somebody has done the work.
Right.
It's the way they carry their own selves. It's the way they think. It's what they do. But it has a lot to do with how they treat others, Brother Shaq.
Yep.
And the golden rule is do unto others as you would have done unto you. But the thing about it is that you can tell if people really care about themselves by way of how they treat other people. And that's just the truth.
That's right.
That's what I have learned. I have learned that, if you, and then we're talking about our own people to each other.
We're talking about
our own people to
family
each
conversation.
other. Yes, always. This is WBOK 1230 AM. Okay.
That's right.
This is the Black radio station here in New Orleans. You better believe it. We are here, and we are here on purpose.
That's right.
And we are here in sacrifice and as a labor of love to be with you on True Love Movement Tuesday.
Shout out to Sabrina Carter, who also joining us.
All right.
Good to see that sister.
My sisters, let's go.
So there are many things happening, and we're honored that you're going to ride with us on your way home, or your commute, or getting off from work, or possibly sitting with family, building the way we used to, at home. Many of the children are out of school, and they may be having a lot of screen time, and so integrate us into their screen time. You know what I'm saying? As a family, maybe watch the broadcast, and certainly talk about the things that we're going to discuss and uncover and reveal and build on. And as well as sharing this show with folks that you respect,
share the show,
and that you can appreciate this particular level of conversation that we're offering here. And on Tuesdays, True Love Movement Tuesdays, was a nice ride, Mama Fi, after 5 or so years here on WBOK, going on 6 really. Here we are on Tuesdays with a 2-hour segment. Very grateful to the leadership at WBOK for this opportunity, and we won't squander the airtime, family. So let's dig in.
Let's dig in, Brother Shay.
Today's topic, Mama Fayed, how did we actually come up with the actual title? I've been saying, I actually put out a little advertisement.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, no, you came up with it.
Definitely. No, I'm telling you, I'm about to say how.
Oh, okay. Well, what is it, and how did we come into? If you would introduce it so the folks know where we're going for the next little ride here.
Yeah. So it's called On the Download.
On the Download.
On the Download. And I really wanted to do a meme for it. We've been so busy.
Some of them innuendos or something like
that. So, lately, a lot of these kind of topics come from trends and what's trendy right now, what's trending right now. And I've been hearing from my young people, and I don't mean young, I mean maybe millennials or right under millennials, talking about getting downloads.
Right.
Downloads. Oh, I got a download. And yes, a download. Wait, I don't want to dig into that. Right. And so it's supposed to be, it's said in a way that it's just a spiritual thing that's happening. And so I mixed that up, so we can talk about this download idea, but also talk about the download, and we're not going to talk about that in particular, but it's a play on words, keep it on the download kind of thing. But we're talking about, what does this mean, this download trend that people are saying they're receiving, and just kind of breaking that apart, looking at it under a microscope, and really wanting millennials or young people who are using this phrase to kind of chime in.
That's right.
Because I'm not, I'm come from a different generation, Brother Shaq, where download wasn't even a thing. It wasn't a thing when I was growing up. We had computers. We maybe had one computer in a classroom, and nobody used it.
Right, and it was real big too. It was a big old thing.
I mean, we did the poke and the numbers, and then maybe played a little Pong or something, but never to the extent of what it is now, where everybody has a supercomputer in their pockets. Everybody have a supercomputer in their homes. Everybody's got a laptop, kind of thing. So it's just a different frame of mind. It's a different frame of reference. Definitely. And so definitely chiming in and wanting the millennials and older and younger, if you use the phrase download as far as receiving something maybe from the universe, we would love to hear you maybe call in and tell us a little bit about what this means.
That's right. What's the downloading trend about? I don't know who started that.
I don't know who started it. I don't believe it was any of the young people here in New Orleans. I think it was probably something they got from maybe social media. I don't know. But I would like to know where you're downloading from.
Where are you downloading it from?
Yes. Where are you downloading it from?
Perhaps it's a cloud. You understand? A cloudy cloud.
There's so when we think about it, there's so many satellites everywhere all around you at all times. And we don't even realize that because we don't see them. We may see the cell phone towers, which there are many, many of those, but we don't see the ones in outer space, the ones that are in the atmosphere up above the earth. And so there are many places to download things, right? And so, Brother Shay, what you think?
Well, I've been hearing some folk, I did some travel recently, and I even heard it there. I heard it in other places beyond New Orleans, so it ain't a local thing. And it sounds to me like perhaps maybe I've only heard it from millennials, and I'm a little bit interested too, but I've got some thoughts on it just because of the ways in which the technology has been integral in their growth and development, and it continues to be for all generations since. I see the danger, even though it's catchy and there's some kind of mechanical conceptualization happening. I see it as just another advance in the direction of dehumanization.
Definitely, Brother Shaq.
Because it likens us to machines, and I understand that we are well-oiled, well-tuned, well-defined machinery by which the computers were modeled at. The CPU is simply just mimicking the human mind. It's the original central processing unit.
Yeah.
But that language also suggests it removes humanity even more and makes it this, somewhat of an artificial sort of a deal. And it's not that I have a criticism that I'm lobbying at that, but I'm noticing in the same vein with texting and electronic communications and all things digitized, there's a removal of the human connection.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a cozying up of this digitized language, which I predict will advance us further away from one another in ways that we will at some point no longer recognize ourselves or each other.
Yes.
And those are just my, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think so, Brother Shaq. Especially we come from a place where they did not have all of this happening until we understand what life is like without that.
Right.
And so I could imagine ways to articulate receiving messages, in this way. But I think we need to be careful by the way that we're doing this. I mean, it was when I first heard it, I was talking to a young person, and when I say young person, maybe mid to late 20s,
right,
maybe early 30s, and we were talking, and of course I'm always supportive and always giving people to think about, people things to think about, and
right,
it was almost like a That's So Raven moment. I don't know if you know, Brother Shaq, you might not know nothing about That's So Raven, but That's So Raven was like a TV show on Disney Channel a while ago that, I'm talking about a long time ago, because not even my little children watched That's So Raven, but it's like she would like stop and go into like a little zone and her eyes would buck open and she'd be like, ooh, like, and then she'd some kind of weird thing would happen because she was psychic or something. And so the person that I was talking to did that. They were like, and I'm like, oh, you okay? She's like, oh, yes, I'm getting a download. And I'm like, ooh, please tell me. Tell me what download are you receiving right now? It was really dramatic, and I don't know. It was. I was like, ooh, okay, nice, right. and really when she told me what she received, that really came from spirit.
Right.
That came from spirit. That was not coming from, I don't know, but and the thing about it is, I think she thought she was downloading it from the universe. Everything that's around us at all times, but I think we got to be careful of that too.
Definitely. Shout out to Mama Charlita. We got Brian Foy has also joined us. We've got Love Nava Udaya. Forgive me if I
beautiful.
Right,
hey,
sister.
My family.
We've got Astrid Marilyn Manuel has joined us on the
shout out to Charlita.
Right on.
Love you. Shout out to Brian Foy. What's happening, brother? And I'm so proud of the work that he's doing too.
That's
he's
right.
doing some meditations on Saturday. I'm not going to be too particular about that, but I just want to, be thankful for the work that he's continuing to do.
That's right. He's got a Facebook event if you all want to check that out.
I think it's supposed to be private, but I don't know. Maybe he can call.
Right. He can maybe
talk
call
about
and
it.
talk a little bit about it because I did some things on it too. But But yeah, I saw Shira somewhere along the line. She had joined in there too. So shout out to everybody. Okay, great.
Yeah. We just spoke about the Healing Colorism weekend that is coming up soon. We're doing something for the children. Shira is leading this, and True Love Movement is supporting her. We are doing Healing Colorism for the children on July 17th. And then that weekend, July 20th, there's going to be a workshop, and then on the 21st, we're gonna debut our Free to Speak, Brother Shay.
Right on. I'm looking forward to that, Mama.
Yes.
And it's glad to be linking and connecting with and organizing with some other folks to expand
with young people.
What's happening. Yeah, that we got multi generations, doing this stuff too. So that's a big deal. So,
Yep.
And so,
Jazz, do we have a caller? No? All right, I thought we had a call-in number. Maybe we should give the call-in number.
Let's give it, Mama.
Because we're asking for, I'm asking for Brian if he'd like to talk about what he's doing, or even young people. I think he said something about must be millennials never heard of that phrase. So it's coming to a millennial near you. I don't really know
Right.
how we just. I guess because we do this work that maybe we're hearing this, but it's a new phrase. And so if you know anything about this or you'd like to talk about what that means to you, let's you can call the solution line on
Right on.
WBOK 504-260-9265. Again, that's 504-260-9265 on the download.
On the download, Mama Fire. That's loaded there. If you don't enunciate all of that well, it could
Right.
it
On
could
the
be
download.
construed as something else. So that's
Yeah.
an interesting thing too.
It sure is, yeah. Okay, so Brother Shaq, what you thinking, brother?
Well, when I heard it used, it was very much so like you described from the show That's So Raven. It's like
Oh, you remember that already?
Well, yeah, I've seen a little bit of it before,
Okay.
but the idea of the like something hit like an epiphany.
Yes.
You know
An
what I'm
aha
saying?
moment.
An aha
Yeah.
moment, and it was attributed to something outside of the self.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought how that kind of reinforces the disempowering or the distancing from
who
yourself,
we really are.
from who you are.
Yes.
And you know, as folks are saying that they're getting these downloads, what I'm thinking, I'm translating that is to that they're reconnecting with their higher selves.
Yes, they are, Brother Shaq.
And
They're remembering.
They are reassembling.
Yes.
The word member means to assemble. They're assembling again their connection to spirit that has been severed over the course of this 400
Come
years.
on, Brother Shaq, from spirit, from self, from the self.
Right.
And like we talk about all the time is that dissociation or de-association from ourselves. Like
Right.
you know, the true self. So when you do deep self-work, you are remembering. And listen, I don't want to make fun of the psychic nature of our people. I'm not
That's
trying
not,
to make
no.
fun of that and being able to receive something from the self or something from the spirit. But I think the care needs to be taken on this download. When you download something, like say you go to a site, we're talking about computers here, right? Say if you go to a site that is around you and you press a download button, that is installed to your computer or phone.
Right.
You know, so it comes outside of yourself.
Something
And
you
you
internalize.
gotta be careful of viruses. You gotta be
Right.
careful of just downloading anything. You gotta have caution, you know, because you don't want to mess up your computer or your phone by getting some type of virus. So, I mean, we gotta be careful
Right.
of even just the language of downloading something from where.
Right, from where. And also what we're attributing the quote unquote epiphany or reconnection of spirit to. That's the other part of it. You know, see the idea of this download you mentioned just now about where is it coming from, the origin or wherever this thought or connection, psychic connection emanates from, has everything to do with how it's applied and all that it encompasses. And so it isn't a small thing to get a download. It isn't a superficial thing either, because it comes from somewhere. And you know, what concerns me about the language, because I know the power of language, is that it lines up ideologically with some religious beliefs in some ways that also may move to disempower our people from a very humanistic standpoint, or a planetary physical standpoint, to say that it just came out of nowhere. You know, like people use that phrase,
yes,
like
they do.
it came out of nowhere, and it came out of nowhere is code for I'm
You
just
don't
not really
know where
connected.
it came from.
But I got it now, and now
Yeah.
that I got it, I feel compelled to do something with it. And so what is it that I'm going to do? Am I going to infect other people? If I've downloaded a virus, am I going to infect other folks? Because now that I got this download, what do I do with it?
Yes,
So that's what it made
yes.
me think about it. That's going to be the language used.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And if that's going to be the language used, the correct language should be upload. To me, if
Right
we're
on.
going to be utilizing computer type language or
Okay.
technology type language, you upload, you pull it from something you already have.
Right on.
You pull it from, and when I talk about remembering, it's pulling it from just your ancient wisdom, your ancient knowing, being an indigenous being of this planet. You already have what it is that you need.
That's right.
You have all the answers, and that's hard. But I think the religious piece that you're talking about, Brother Sheck, the religious dogma or religious doctrine or whatever, we have to be careful, talking about that. But I do believe, like, if people are connected or have a personal relationship with, say, God, that it is still a remembering.
Definitely.
It's still a remembering because spirit is our connection to God,
Right.
I mean, and like, that's my own philosophical thought, but
Sure.
it's something that I have learned from remembering.
Right.
Yeah, from remembering. And then we got to think about all the subtle, like, ways to program people. I mean, this is an aside, this is moving on from what I just said, but we got to know that there are subconscious, they are working
Right.
on subconscious levels,
Right.
for our people, especially because we're so open,
Right.
because we're so psychic, because we're so able to have this sense that is greater than our five senses, and our metaphysical being, our metaphysical vibration, that they could use that, in order to program you on a subconscious level. And I'm not trying to get new agey or like
It's not
out
new
the box
agey.
or anything
I mean,
like that. I'm just trying to say, be careful. Be
Right.
careful as you call it a download, because listen, what you say is creating what it is.
That's right.
What you say is creating. So when you say you're receiving a download, you got to tell me exactly where from, and you got to tell me how are you connected to this thing and whatever, because there's too much other stuff happening in the ethers for you to just be randomly downloading
Right.
stuff.
Right. So that's kind of irresponsible at that point, right?
Yeah.
And I like how you said our relationship or connection to the creator, to source, and perhaps there's a subtle inference to that when they're talking about the download, whether conscious or unconscious. And I like it because it still talks about the cyclical nature of, spirit, mind, body, and spirit
Yes.
connection. So it's not a departure at all from what we normally talk about or how we see it, but I think it's just expressed in another way, and it's difficult to be, even when we talk about something like downloading, we may not all have the same thought, Mama Fire, in terms of what it is. And so, yeah, for the millennials out there who are listening, who may not be as comfortable with the phone, because that's the other part about the disconnect or the disassociation in the ways of communicating as technology advances forward and the dehumanization also expands, is folk aren't as comfortable with verbal communication in phone conversations. We know face-to-face provide, often is an anxious situation. Many young folk talk about the anxiety when it comes to having to deal with face-to-face conversations and what have you. So they defer to texting or emails, which gives them an opportunity to have control that they may not otherwise feel. So sometimes the interactive exchange and nature of a phone conversation can also bring upon anxiousness. So we invite them to, like the True Love Movement page, and then they can correspond with us through the live feed, which is available.
All right.
That way, which is in line with their technological, comfort level.
Yes, and I'm glad we have that option.
Mm-hmm.
But they can also call the solution line, 504-260-9265, 504-260-9265. And I don't know, but I think that we have a seasoned audience that listens to WBOK 12:30 a.m. And so if they'd like to join in too,
Right.
and just tell us what they think about this new trendy kind of thing, and even like the subconscious ways of giving our people messages. Brother Shaq, one of my favorite things to do, and has been for a long time, is to decode media.
Right on.
I do it all the time.
Very adept at that.
I just love it. It's like one of my favorite things to do, because I learned a skill from listening to Brother Panic and other people, Lynn Honor and some other people decode media,
Right.
and I was like, mind blown emoji.
Right. Use an emoji, huh?
Yeah. And so I learned how. I learned naturally how to critically analyze media, and saw how the messages were coming like in plain sight, you
Right.
know, in mainstream media, in videos, in music, in TV shows, in commercials, and all these things. And so these things are hidden in plain sight, but what about the things that are hidden?
Right.
You know, the things that we can't see,
They're there.
but we can hear and we can
Right.
feel, you know, as the feelers of the planet, you
Right.
know. Yeah, and so if they want to maybe call in about the dangers of that.
Well, shout out to LaShonda Salam and Jerome Booker. Go ahead on purple. We got
Yay,
Donna Marie
shout
joining
out.
us. We got Sonia Molina joining us.
All
We had
right,
and
family.
our brother Victor Omolo. Yeah, Omojola. That's it, Omojola or Omohola.
Beautiful.
Shout out to those folk joining us here in the live. And again, you can if you're more comfortable with the typing, we can receive that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that we're also posing something that not everybody has thought about in any kind of depth, Mama Fi. And I was recently reminded through travels that, you know, some of these different ways of thinking about things, you know, folk in the moment are not prepared. Like, and they didn't know they were unprepared.
Right.
Until they got the question or the glimpse of it to say, you know, I ain't never even thought about that. And if, you know, we're dealing with it and talking about it as though everybody's familiar. And I know some people are, but you know, the level of desensitization because of the onslaught of, you know, media messages just bombarding us from, you know, early morning till late at night and all throughout the day, particularly those of us who are often engaged in social media and screen time and what have you. I mean, there's so many things that what you just described is the things that are there but unseen, because after a while we just don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
So we don't even think it's a thing. We just like, well, what you talking about? You know, that's just words. Ain't nobody mean nothing by that. They just talking about. I mean, that's just a phrase, a slang.
Yeah.
You know, without recognizing the power behind that. And then I thought too, like how powerful would we be, Mama Fi, if we were consciously and conscientiously uploading, right? From as a result of our internal work and self-discovery and building security within ourselves and really, like, you know, that inward glance being vast and you know, non-judgmental, and really like recording it through journaling and video journaling, which now the brothers now are doing. But
good.
But you know, how powerful and effective could the upload be? Because the upload is again positioning us to disseminate that. So what kind of care is involved in that, and then being able to value what we upload. You know, that's the other thing too, Mama Fi. You know, doing this, you know, some folk call it self-improvement work or self-discovery work, or we call it self-love work. It truly
Yes, we do.
encompasses all of that. But I wanted to qualify, because so many folk talk about self-love this and self-love that. They ain't talking about we talk about.
Yeah.
But like in the process of doing it, you know, folk are really like, the lights are coming on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're lighting up, and they're finding that, you know, you really can't sidestep the self-work.
You cannot.
You can't sidestep, and you don't need to. It's a beautiful journey that sometimes is achy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's hard work.
Ooh, it's hard work.
And it doesn't stop.
It's
doesn't stop. Every day.
Going.
Every day I tell Brother Shaq, I find something about myself that I'd like to change.
That's right.
Imagine that. Every day. But see, now I have the confidence. Now I have the power that I can actually change it.
Right.
I can change it like this now that I understand the process of change, and I've been made powerful because I've done it before.
That's right.
And I know the ways in which to do it. I know how to do it, and so And Brother Shay, the things that we teach are the things that we know.
Right.
The things that we've learned, and it's not BS. It's real formulas that we've created because we know.
Right.
And I think a lot of the time we want to shy away from the work.
Yeah.
We want to shy away from the work because there's so many tender spaces, and it's more than tender spaces. It's places that really, really hurt.
Really hurt.
We've repressed things, Brother Shaq. Okay, we've repressed things. I was talking to a sister earlier, and we were talking about bad memories from childhood that we are just remembering now.
Right.
And it's hard. We're uploading because we've, and I told her, I said, when I was remembering things from my childhood, and still now, as I remember certain times, it's like I was drowning underwater, and I'm looking up at the memory that is, if you've ever been at the bottom of a pool and looked up, and it's so cloudy and everything looks distorted and you don't really know what's going on.
Right.
That's how some of my memories are.
Wow.
Yeah, it is just true.
Right.
I mean, I guess when there's a level of, abuse that happens, or a level of trauma that happens, that's how it goes.
That's
and
right.
so when things come and I remember things now, I know how to deal with that. I know how to balance myself through it. And if you need help, ask for it.
Well, Mama Fi, I like that. I like that you even offered to add that perspective because it inspired me. I'm going to share something that I've actually uploaded and been uploading while writing this book, Resolving Rape Culture, right on the other side of this call, because we do have the lines lit up. So thank you for holding the caller. What's happening? Hello, you're on.
Hello.
Yes, welcome to True Love Movement Tuesdays. You are live. What's happening?
Hey, fam, it's Brian. How y'all doing?
Hey, what's going on, young blood? How you making out?
I'm good. So I really wanted to share like an amazing moment I had today. Recording my fire book. Me and Brother Shaq, we was having a session the other day. I mentioned to him how I felt like when and this kind of like really ties into the topic. But I was like, hey, man, I feel like when I'm by myself, I'm not okay just being by myself. Like I'm conditioned to feeling like I have to like be around someone, or like I have to like be doing something, like taking in the media or something like that. And if I'm not doing those things, then I'm just, I don't know, like I feel lost. So he was like, well, Mama Fi, she got a blog and everything, man, and have you tried mirror work?
Yes.
And I was like, man, no, and he had been telling me about it before. So, last night I shot him a text, and today he sent me the link to your blog, and I read it. And just reading not only how powerful it is for you, but how powerful it's been for the sisters that you've been working with.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and sit in the mirror for 5 minutes. So I put my phone on silent, put on the timer, and I actually forgot to set the timer, so I think I set the mirror for like 15 minutes instead of 5.
Good.
Like, when I was sitting there looking at myself, I realized a number of things. The first thing was the pain that I saw in myself.
Yes.
The second thing was how indifferent we are to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we see people, like we see our spouse, we see our friends, we see humanity, but we don't really see us. Literally.
That's right.
So like I'm sitting in this mirror, literally looking at myself, and I'm like, oh, that's why I'm so damn indifferent to me. Because I'm spending all of my time looking at everything else outside of me.
Yes.
Wow, that's right.
And man, the last thing that really hit home for me was, wait, I just lost it. Hold on.
That's all right. Upload it.
Was how difficult it was for me to actually tell myself positive affirmations while facing myself. So like I can write in my journal about how beautiful I think I am, or how how joyous I am and all these things. I actually looking at myself and telling myself that it was difficult. So it's like we should like turn the mirror around and download ourselves. You know, like I'm like, you know, based upon what y'all talking about, which I don't know if that's really like you feel like somebody like, did they late 20s outside?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, it's going around, Brian.
You know, like, I never heard that. You know, I don't know if I'm just, you know, not in the loop or whatever, but I was just like, okay, that's
Right.
But yeah, you know, it's weird because we grew up in the 90s where we had that space where we were able to go outside, and you know, we rode out bikes, we went to the candy lake.
Right.
You know, we did all that, but then we had this other part of us, you know, from like 13 on, where we like consume a lot of media, you know, straight from the internet. Like MySpace might have started pop when I was 13, 14 years old.
Uh-oh.
So I am like engineered for social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I say, Mama Fire, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you, Brother Shaq. Like
Right
that blog, you know, if anybody has a chance to go ahead and read that, I definitely advise it. You know, it's beautiful work, y'all. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, brother.
thank you.
So much.
And please share it, Brian. I think you calling and mentioning it and the impact that it's had on you, it was extremely helpful because, you know, it's called Hey Little Sister.
Yeah.
And so Mama Fire wrote this as a result of an additional tool and an expansion of the work that she's doing specifically with the sisters.
Yeah.
But as I told you, to challenge yourself to find yourself in the work, because it is immensely powerful, and it isn't limited to the Black woman's experience, and that when we're open to learn and receive information, it will allow us to upload things that do resonate with us, you know, and so part of the reason why, you know, I think that it had that impact is because you gave yourself the opportunity to do that. And there's so many people who will miss the very things that they are wanting because it isn't packaged in a way that they're expecting.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
And thank you, Brian, too, for reading it because it's for everybody. You
Right.
know, it's tailored to Black women and girls, but all of this self-work is for everyone. It's for Black women and girls and for Black men and boys.
Right on.
And the reason why I center everything on Black women and girls is because wouldn't it have been wonderful if our mothers would have taught us this? You know, if we teach the mamas to teach their children, then we're knocking down generational things. We're
Right.
teaching the future fathers. We're teaching, you know, all of those things, and so we're knocking down all kind of generational, what they call curses and
Right.
all these things. So it's good to support and honor Black women and girls, but the work is for everyone to do.
Definitely. And thank you again, Brian, for calling and sharing with us and being a real truth ambassador, dear.
Yes.
You know.
Thank you. I appreciate
All
everything.
right, brother.
Right on.
All right, peace. And we're going to be talking about him and talking to him soon.
Definitely.
Because we've got some beautiful work that we're getting ready to do for the summer. And shout out to him for the meditations that he is doing as well, and being empowered to do that work. But what he said was he's not okay by himself.
Right.
Woo-hoo-hoo. I hear that all the
I
time,
hear
Brother
that all
Shaq.
the time too.
All the time.
All the time.
And when you get to the point when you're quote unquote alone, but you're not lonely,
Right.
wow, you've
Yes,
hit another
right.
level at that
Right.
point. And I tell my sisters all the time, you are never alone.
Never.
How about that? You
Right.
know, that there is so much opportunity in solitude. There's so much opportunity in yourself that you are never alone.
That's right.
You know, and let's kind of think of also what I learned from a very special millennial is she calls herself her cells. CELLS.
Right on.
Right? And when we think about the tiniest little molecule or the atom,
Right.
you know, we getting when we talk about Adam and Eve
Please,
and all these other
please talk about it, Mama Fire.
Wait, no,
we're
that's
at a
not where I'm
different
going.
level. I mean, I'm just saying we're at a time where we got to deal with all of it.
Come
You know
on.
what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. So, you know, when we talk about the tiniest thing in your own body, in your own cells. How many cells are in the human body?
Right.
You realize you have your own universe inside of you.
That's right.
You've got organs that work together, and you are in charge of what happens inside of your body by way of what you're thinking, of what you're eating, of what you're intaking. That's a lot of power.
Right.
That's a lot of power. So you are never alone.
That's right.
You are always there for you. You know, and that's how, and when you're feeling like you can't be alone by yourself, that shows that there's a lot of work to be done. And that's not a diss. Oh, you got work to do. That ain't no diss. That means you're on the right track.
Right.
When you identify that you cannot be alone, Brother Shaq. There are people who can't be alone and don't even know it.
That's right. I wanted to lift that up to Mama Fire because, as the brother Brian said, and a great many folk, as we just concurred just now, say that black men and black women say that man. I don't want to be alone. I was working with a brother very recently, and we were differentiating the activity and accomplishment because as many black men have been conditioned that you got to be doing something. You can't just be chilling. You got to be doing something. You got to always be doing something.
Yes, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes.
And so in that always that activity or that incessant activity is a lot of fragmentation. So we're just doing things that aren't really aligned with anything in particular, and they're not necessarily in the realm of our reason for being alive on the planet. So they sometimes produce some form of reward, but more often than not, they really don't. And so the conclusion is drawn that, well, I just got to try harder, or I just got to do this. And what a lot of that is we're engaged in the activity because we're not really sure where we're going. We're hoping that we'll get there if we just start moving, but if you don't know where you're going, any direction will do. And so there's no way to really measure any kind of progress and how we're advancing towards it. And then, it doesn't produce the gratification. Black men really need to feel like they're important, that they're doing important things, that they matter, that they're valuable. And it's not that that's exclusive to black men, but what it is for black men, it's a little more amplified because as we've been doing a lot of work over at Mosque 46. Shout out to Student Minister Willie Muhammad and the brothers of FOI there with the manhood training that they've integrated into the FOI classes on Mondays during the summertime. And as we're doing that work and consistent with even the work that is within the Resolving Rape Culture book and also curriculum from the workshop, Modified True Love Movements, Resolving Rape Culture, what we're discovering is it's amplified because much of what manhood is conceived in the mind of the black man is idealized in what we have experienced that the proverbial white man has. That in this white patriarchal society, there is an idealized man who is in fact a white man personified. And so in our quest to feel more human, we want to feel more white mannish is what we're trying to do. That's not the way we describe it in general conversation, but I have a way of asking the right questions that help us arrive at that conclusion. And that's something that brothers really haven't looked at before, because the ways we've been conditioned, we have internalized these things and we do think that they're our own. And because we've all been socialized and socialized the same way, it is a very normative, pervasive kind of thinking. So seldom do we have an inward glance that challenges and interrogates what we think we know. And so I'm saying all that to say that many times black men are looking for an experience that's atypical for what white men in this dominant patriarchal society experience. And so when we don't get that, we feel some kind of way about it, and we're very, very sensitive to that. We're very sensitive to not getting that. So we're very sensitive to not being seen and not being visibilized in the same manner that the quote-unquote proverbial white man is, or that we think that he is based on how we've seen or looked, quote-unquote, look up to or up at throughout the course of our lives. And that part is also, so there's a lot of things going on with brothers struggling in a lot of the activity that we're engaged in is rooted in having a particular experience. So all that to say, when brothers are still, are quiet,
Yes.
are alone,
Yes.
there's a certain amount of contempt for that, because there's no cheerleaders, there's no praise, there's no stroking of the ego, there's no
Wow.
none of that. So there's like, man, what am I even doing here? And I don't like that. It's a loud silence, and to the degree that we've become acquainted with ourselves or working to become acquainted with ourselves, there's a lot of fear in that solitude that feels lonely.
Yes.
You know, which is a big bright light that says I have a codependency on the external, you know, reaffirming or that sort of thing, to the degree that if I don't get it, I don't feel whole and functional, which is a dangerous perspective, but yet a normative one. And I just wanted to raise all that to say that there are very complex things that black men are experiencing, and a great many are working on the undoing and the unraveling and the resolving of those things. And so there's a lot of hope for the future, and a lot of hope for the sisters in black futures and black families ahead, Mama Fire.
Oh yes. Thank you, Brother Shaq. Thank you for all of that.
Right on.
And you know, when you started this conversation, you said black men need to feel, and I was like, yes. Just with that,
right?
Because then you went on to say what he needs to feel, but
right.
black men needs to feel.
Right.
It's okay, knowing that it's okay to feel, and of course they feel, but
deeply
acknowledging and accepting what it is they feel, and identify how, like articulate how you're feeling. You know, there's a study there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a serious study, and so you know, that piece of it, and thank you for so eloquently stating what black men know, but they just can't say.
Right on.
Because they haven't gotten there yet to find the language for it. And then, you know, just maybe on the other side of the break, we can talk about what we are subconsciously told. Mm-hmm. You know, we're told through media, we're told through experiences in education, we're told through all kinds of things, the American dream, that we are supposed to be with someone.
Right.
That there's always supposed to be someone there.
Right.
And someone is supposed to love you, and they're supposed to take you and hold you and hug you and give you all of the attention and all these things. And once you leave your parents' home, you're supposed to get that from your parents, and then you're supposed to find it and have somebody all the time.
Do that, right.
All the time, you know?
Right.
Instead of the space in our lives when we getting to know ourselves, there's no space for that. Right. There's only a space to connect to other people, and most of the times it's transactional.
Very much so transactional.
Yeah, meaning it's what you can get from them instead of what you can share or what you can give or what you can create together.
That's
you know,
right.
It's more about, you know, you give me comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to be with you,
right.
You know, instead of, you know, what do you do for yourself?
Right.
And what do I do for me?
Right.
So, yeah.
Shout out to Glenn Jones, Black Masking Indians own Glenn Jones.
Oh yes, that is happening. That is happening very soon. We're gonna
definitely talk about that. But then Mama Charlita just said, or at least I just saw, something that I think is something we can take a look at on the backside of the break. But she said, intentional downloads versus random downloads are key to deprogramming and reprogramming the subconscious so that it is conscious projection of the more desirous reality, if you will. I'd like you to kind of tackle that and talk about that and more on the other side of the break. So everybody hold tight. Stay tuned to on the download right here on WBOK 1230 Real Talk for Real Times. True Love Movement Tuesdays, family. We'll be back.
Woo! Hey, it's cancer season, y'all. If you did not know. So we have started July, and July is my New Year month. It is my birthday month, my Earth Day month.
That's right.
My New Year, whatever you want to say. And y'all stay tuned because I'm having a birthday party.
That's right.
A New Year's celebration. I'm calling it Mama Fire's 40 Fly.
Oh, they fly.
Y'all ready for that 40 fly?
I'm ready for it.
I'm ready. Oh, I know you're ready. know you ready.
Sure enough ready. Sure enough ready. Looking forward to that. This is my favorite time of the year too.
Yes.
Like people saying, the most wonderful time of the year is that July, August period between your birthday and leading up to your birthday and all the way through my birthday. So I'm happy about that. Shout out to Sister Tracy Elizabeth joining us as well.
My sister. I love you, Queen.
Yeah, man. And Shantice Denise joined us. Thank you, sister. We're
Shantice.
gonna read your comment on the way back and on the way on the other side of the break and do so much more. But yeah, man, this is. What do y'all think about this topic, Facebook Live family? You know, this whole on the download thing. What do you think about that? Like, I don't know how much you've heard that, or if you're just joining us or what have you, but this idea of downloading, because I want you to talk again, Mama Fire, just to reintroduce where you're downloading it from.
Yeah.
And
where are you downloading it from?
And what's presumptive about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, where is it from? I'll be right back to you.
Okay. Yes. And so we talked for the first hour about this kind of trendy phrase that we're hearing a lot from young people, and we're not talking about teenagers, you know, we're talking about like maybe early to late 20s, when people are receiving downloads, or they at least say that's what they're doing, or they received a download and now they have some information that maybe they didn't have before. And Brother Shaq and I have been talking about the potential caution and danger of that, like with all of the satellites around us at all times. And maybe I need to like Google how many satellites are out there, because maybe that can give us a good understanding that there are many satellites. And so we have to be very careful about what we're downloading, where we're downloading it from, because subconsciously I think things can be deposited into us, you know, and we have to be careful about what they are. And I think we do get inspired and we do receive things, but I would like to consider it, if we want to use the computer jargon, I'd like to consider it uploading from the wealth of ancient understandings and the wealth of ancient information that's already in us, that is in our DNA, that is in our genes, you know, that is God, that is the creator of the universe, that is the Most High, uploading it from ourselves and cells, cells, you know. And when we think about how ancient human beings are on this planet, I'm talking about indigenous, deeply rooted Black, African, whatever you want to call it, right. People are. How long we've been on this planet, and we are descendants from that. So that's what we're talking about now on the download. And let us know if you've ever heard that phrase. Because right. Trust me, you're going to start hearing it now. That's how it goes, sure. Right? When you hear something the first time, then right. You're like, everybody's saying it. Right. But you can choose wisely if you say that or not. And if you teach the understanding of uploading something from the wealth of knowledge from yourself, from the wealth and the richness and the abundance of yourself.
Cell destruction. You're headed for cell destruction.
So I wanted to find out exactly how many satellites are in the outer space. Yeah. In the atmosphere? Approximately, yeah. You want to talk about the Black Basket event, Brother Shay?
I do momentarily, but I'm looking at, we got a little bit of technical difficulties that I need to kind of resolve before I get into that. And I was actually making some strides to move in that direction.
Okay.
But there was a Mercury retrograde-ish event that occurred that has impacted the feed.
Yeah, and my sister Kendra Joy is doing that Black Technola stuff.
Right.
She one of the best.
Oh, just saying you coming back.
I know.
Oh, okay.
She's one of the best hosts ever.
She be hosting, right?
She be hosting. That's what she be doing.
Okay, it's trying to come back up now. Something. All right, family. Welcome back to True Love Movement Tuesdays right here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. Real talk for real times, brother Shaq.
And Mama Fire.
True Love Movement Tuesdays, holding it up on the download.
Let's keep it on a download.
The download. So if you're just joining us and you're joining in and you're thinking, what the hell is the download they talking about? We ain't said down low, we said download. Shout out to our Facebook Live family joining us. Simply like the True Love Movement page on Facebook, and you can join us here live in the studio. Type in your comments and chime in and join the conversation and the build. Today's topic on this January 2nd.
January?
No, what is it? July 2nd, 2018 here in New Orleans.
Yeah, come on.
Is
it's my birthday month.
Birthday month in Cancer season. In July, this is Keep It on the Download, today's topic, and we're in hour number 2.
Yes.
A lot happening on the front side of the break, Mama Fire. Shout out to everybody who's joined us. We're making sure that the feed and everything is acting in accordance.
Yes.
And we appreciate you riding with us. I mean, there's so many things that are going on, so many things you could be doing. We are, in fact, honored that you have chosen to ride with us on today.
Yeah, and while we're getting that technical stuff together, I do want to talk about the Black Masking Festival that they're having on Friday, July 5th, and it starts at 12 o'clock, and it's right across the street at Stallings
Playground on Gentilly Boulevard.
Yes.
That's right.
And I was invited to perform, and Brother Shaq, you were invited to speak.
That's right.
And that's happening at the park all day long. I think starting at 12 o'clock. And Brother Shaq and I will be sharing the flyer as soon as possible.
That's
and y'all
right,
definitely want to come and be a part of our homegrown festivals.
That's right. We're gonna drop that information into the comments. I know we got Glenn. At least we had Glenn on the live feed. Glenn Jones may be able to speak more about that, but it's an important commemoration with so many things happening here in the city for this 4th of July season.
4th of July
season. It's important that we embrace the local culture that has sustained us for these 300 plus years here in New Orleans.
Yes.
So we definitely want to give homage and honor to that.
Yeah, and I hear, people talk about the Black masking or Black Indians, saying that it's something that we stole from the native people, something we took from the native people, but the native people are us.
That's right.
We are the native people. And let's not get confused about red and brown and black and how they came together and made us.
That's right.
And so we are all of those things, and that is our culture.
That's right. And there happens to be a Black Masking Cultural Festival event on Facebook. Simply look up 2nd annual. So this ain't the first go round. This is the 2nd annual Black Masking Cultural Festival. You can get more information by going to Facebook and putting that event in. It's going to be on this Friday, as Mama Fire said, from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. right at Stallings Playground, 1600 Gentilly Boulevard here in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yes.
Right across from the fairgrounds and our very own WBOK. So it features the Black Masking tribes, all of them. It looks like there's a gang of them, a long list, and a lot of live performances, including you, Mama Fire, and I see Iris P in there, the Flaming Arrows.
That's just
The Big Six Brass Band, Urban Mayfield, Wynton Thomas, Bo Dallas, and many, many more. So check that out.
Yep.
And we'll be sharing that along with some other things you can like. There's a Black Masking Indians Society. There's a website, so check that out. I believe it's blackmasking.org.
Love it.
So work that into your
schedule.
Your schedule, your busy essence, time and 4th of July time. Make sure you stop by and take part in local homegrown stuff.
Yeah. And listen, make sure you're supporting and honoring Black-owned businesses this week, from Thursday on to Saturday and Sunday. Make sure that you're telling your families that are coming in town for Essence Festival to make sure they are supporting Black-owned businesses, y'all, because we just what to do. It's
That's
what
right.
to do. Now it's not even a trend anymore. Like, it's just what we do. And I'm glad it's a trend. I'm glad we created that, and for ourselves, and we honor that. Now it's just time to not do anything else.
That's right. Be
if
exclusive.
possible.
Black-owned business is possible.
Yeah. I mean, there are several gaps that our people cannot fill right now, and so we support where we can, and then try to fill in the gaps.
Speaking of black-owned business, shout out to Shetwan Sweet Love Smith over there at Sweet Vegan Souls on Broad, right up the street.
I love them.
They in full effect and wide open for the whole season and at all times. So make sure you let your family from out of town know they need to stop on Broad over there by Sweet Vegan Soul Food and get that in their life.
Yes,
Yes,
that beautiful, beautiful bread pudding, huh, Brother Shag? The ice cream,
everything, and
I like
the smoothies. You dig? I mean, the smoothies be on. That's what I get now, man. Them smoothies be rolling. But the full-on menu of. And they got daily items, so if you like them on Facebook, they always put up what they got for the day on there, so you can check that out.
Beautiful. Yep, and shout out to Itel Garden though.
Yeah,
as well. Those
That's
are our
right.
people too.
That's right.
And man, we enjoy Itel Garden on a regular basis. Okay,
That's right.
we know what we like over there. My children love the collard wings. So let's support our people locally. Local people support our people, and then somebody coming in town for us.
That's right.
Guide them to the vegan spots. Guide them to Morals and these other places that are black on
That's
the
right.
Half Shell, Community Book Center, everything on Bayou Road, King and Queen Emporium. And even our pop-ups. I'm sure there's several pop-ups that are happening this weekend. So just really, really support our people when you have the chance.
Yeah, do it now and forever too.
Forever.
Do it now and forever, not just for the
Forever.
holidays. So on the other side, I wanted to talk about several things, Mama Fire. Of course, the comments are growing in the news feed. We got it back running on this side.
Good.
So
Yay.
it didn't interrupt. It's just we couldn't see. That's how that Mercury retrograde do. But we're gonna keep on keeping on. But I wanted to talk a little bit about. Or you to talk a little bit about what Mama Charlita was saying. She also said, this is interesting, as it's a new thing. Like, she's learning of this whole downloading thing, as many of our listeners are.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of a little more hip, Mama Fire. We be up on the new stuff by accident.
By accident, just because the people that we see are in many of them. Even though we see people that are all ages, even from our little ones.
Right.
The single digit babies,
Right.
and then all the way up to 60 something or so. But we see a lot of young people between the ages of 21 and 28, which is a very, very important time.
That's right.
And even the 28 to 35, but it's a very, very important time of development.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're glad to be in support for our young people. But we're hearing them say stuff like, "Oh, I received a download," or "I'm receiving downloads," and I'd like to flip that